Now I'll be reading from Miss Lamothe's presentation. I'm going to read straight through starting on slide 2, which starts, the title is The Sun. You may have heard people use the term solar energy. They're probably talking about the technology that powers a house or heats a swimming pool, but there's only one place that you can find true solar energy, the sun. Without the sun, there wouldn't be life on Earth. The sun provides us both light and heat. It's at the very center of our solar system with all 8 planets revolving around it. The planets, moons, thousands of asteroids, and trillions of comets also revolve around the sun. From Earth, we see the sun as a bright yellow dot in the sky that's sometimes hidden by clouds, but the sun is actually a glowing ball of fiery gas. The part of the sun that we see has a temperature of 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 5,600 degrees Celsius. Inside the sun, at its core, the temperature is 27 million degrees, which is 15 million degrees Celsius. The core is where the sun's incredible energy is created. The temperature is so extreme that nuclear reactions take place and energy travels to the surface of the sun. That energy is then released as light and heat. It takes 1 million years of energy produced in the sun's core to reach its surface. Besides being hotter than we can even imagine, the sun is amazingly big. You could fit more than 1 million Earths inside the sun. But believe it or not, the sun isn't anywhere close to being the biggest object in the universe. The sun is actually a star, just like the others you see at night. It's about average in size when compared to the other stars, but to us here on Earth, there's nothing average about the sun. On the next slide, you see the questions. Number 1, where is the sun located? A, at the center of the universe. B, at the center of the galaxy. C, the center of the solar system. Or D, the center of the Earth. Number 2 asks, how hot is the sun's surface? How hot is the sun's core? Number 3 says the sun is A, the largest known star. B, an average-sized star. C, a small star. Or D, the hottest known star. And number 4 asks, match the words on the left with the definitions on the right. Number 1, solar energy. Number 2, solar system. Number 3, core. A says center inside of a ball-shaped object. B is heat, light, or electrical power made from the sun. And C is the sun and all of the things that orbit around it. So you'll match one letter to each number. On the next slide, we start to read about the moon. The title is Our Moon. Jupiter and Saturn have more than 60 moons each. Neptune has 13, Mars has 2. But if somebody says the moon, we know exactly what they're talking about. It's Earth's moon, our closest neighbor in outer space. The moon is the second brightest spot in the sky after the sun. It orbits around the Earth once a month, going through lunar phases. Sometimes the moon will look like a skinny curved sliver called a crescent. Later it becomes a glowing full moon. These phases are caused by the changing angles of where the Earth, moon, and sun are relative to one another. The moon might be the closest thing to us in space, but it's still far, far away, about 250,000 miles away. It's also much smaller. About 50 moons could fit inside Earth. Temperatures can be extreme, as hot as 250 degrees Fahrenheit or as cold as minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why astronauts had to wear special spacesuits when they first landed on the moon. Besides protecting them from extreme temperatures, the suits provided enough oxygen for the astronauts to breathe. July 20th, 1969 is one of the most important dates in history. It's when America's Apollo 11 astronauts landed on the moon. The first man to walk on the moon was Neil Armstrong. Right after, he said some of the most famous words ever. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. You might ask your parents, grandparents, or teachers where they were when we first landed on the moon. If they were born and weren't too young, they'll remember. Life has never been quite the same here on Earth now that we've explored our closest neighbor in space. On the next slide, we have questions about that text. Number 1 says the moon is about A, 500,000 miles from Earth, B, 250,000 miles from Earth, C, 250,000 miles from Earth, and D, 100,000 miles from Earth. Number 2 says, what famous words did Neil Armstrong say when he first stepped on the moon? Number 3, according to the information in the article, name 2 reasons astronauts who landed on the moon needed to wear special spacesuits. Number 4, Chelsea's mom was born in 1968. When Chelsea asked her mom where she was when Neil Armstrong first landed on the moon, her mom said, I'm not sure. Why do you think Chelsea's mom said that? A, Chelsea's mom wasn't born yet. B, television had not been invented yet. C, Chelsea's mom was too old to remember. Or D, Chelsea's mom was too young to remember it. And number 5, which statement is true? Saturn has fewer moons than Mars. Earth has more moons than Neptune. Neptune has fewer moons than Jupiter. Or Mars has more moons than any other planet. And then on the last slide, it says, imagine you had the opportunity to visit the moon for a 2-week vacation. Would you want to go? Tell why or why not. And that's it. Have fun with your last week of science work.